Hello everyone, welcome to this news hour on Equinoxe television. I am Bable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, while Nigerians are celebrating their Independence Day, Cameroonians from the northwest and southwest regions of the country are unable to do same. They are unable to celebrate the day the former British Southern Cameroons became independent by joining French Cameroon. October 1 was a ghosted day across Anglophone Cameroon. Meantime, administrative authorities, including the senior divisional officer of the Meme division in the southwest region, are urging inhabitants to stand up against ghost town and lockdown imposed by pro-independence fighters within the framework of the close to 5-year-long armed conflict going on there. Cameroonian renowned musician Coty Francois will be laid to rest tomorrow. His mortal remains removed from the Douala Military Hospital earlier today. We begin this newscast in the southwest regional chief town, Boya, a town that was as dead as a graveyard today because of lockdown, ghost towns imposed by pro-independence fighters within the framework of the close to 5-year-long armed conflict going on in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. It was a 1st October Independence Day with the ghost running on the streets in the town of Boya. The day Southern Cameroons, former British Southern Cameroons, became independent by joining the then French Cameroon. October 1 was a ghosted day in Boya, the Rijato.
October 1, 2021. This is the picture of Boya, the southwest regional capital. We are at Moleko, the social heartbeat of this city, and this is how Moleko looks like today. We have not seen commercial vehicles plying the road. Businesses are closed. But before coming to Moleko, we have been at mile 17, the busiest spot of the city, and these are the pictures. Now this is the picture of class quarters. It was a bit busier than other areas. It is after midday and Boya has not recorded any negative incident. But many people that choose to stay indoors said they want to limit casualties for the past experiences. They don't want it to repeat itself. Derek Jato on the street of Moleko for Equinoxe Television News. Signing out.
The same atmosphere prevailed in the neighboring town of Limbe, still in the southwest region of the country today. And our reporter David Sinmaimu was on the streets of Limbe and now paints the town on October 1.
I'm standing within the Church Street vicinity, and it is Friday in Limbe. Usually this area is filled with people, of course, who are hustling for their life. But the situation today is totally different. As you can see for yourself, the entire street is deserted. It is void from people, and only a few bikes that we have seen flying the street. No commercial motorbikes actually flying the street, and of course only private vehicles can be seen. We are inside the main market of Limbe, and today is Friday. It's supposed to be a market day, and you see for yourself, the entire market is empty. Only a few persons that we have spotted within the market, especially those with perishable goods, who have actually braved the odds to be here today. Some we talked to off camera says that they were afraid of the unknown and definitely needed to stay home. Some say they were pushed by the heavy security deployment that is seen within the city, who are there for protection or safety. Moving through the various neighborhoods to the core of the city, right here around the half-mile area. Every business place, every shop is shut down. The doors are all closed, except for a few people who have braved the odds to come out, as you can see. Nevertheless, the defense and security forces, they have taken dispensation, placed in strategic areas within the city to preempt any negative activities that may occur. Limbe is calm, and there's definitely peace, except for the very fact that no business is actually functioning. Today, the 1st of October, 2021. David Sinmaimu is my name for Equinoxe Television.
And some inhabitants of Limbe spoke to our correspondent David Sunmaimu. This is an extract of what they said.
My population are indoors since something like 3 weeks, observing lockdown.
Some inhabitants of Limbe spoke to our correspondent David Sunmaimu, and they said they couldn't go out to do business as usual because of the fear of the unknown. Take a listen to some of them.
Today morning I went out with my kids to take them to school. Unfortunately, reaching by the roadside, I realized everywhere is closed. It's a funny day. I don't really know what's really happening. For the past years, it has been the same when it comes to 1st October. So I really do pray the people concerned should take charge of to make sure things come back to normal, because it's not really fine. It's not really fine. We are just here at the neighborhood with friends hanging around. We can't go to the main street. It's funny that 24 hours is going to pass us by, hanging around our neighborhood. We're supposed to be out there doing something for the future of the kids, but we are locked up in our homes.
I can tell you that the atmosphere today here in Limbe, we can't go out. We are just in the quarter. We can't do anything. Our children cannot go out. Our children cannot go out in school. They cannot go to school today. So we are just begging for the government to see onto this problem.
I want to thank the various security forces for putting in place the security agent, the gendarme, the police, the AB, and all the rest. And Limbe is very calm. You can see, except for the businessmen, that they have not opened. But as far as the security is concerned, Limbe is in place. And
I have to thank God for any condition. Don't have to thank God for all the condition. It's a normal thing. Maybe it's because of the behavior of the people, I don't know, or the behavior of the culture, I don't know. So in everything, we thank God.
Some inhabitants of Limbe in the southwest region speaking there to David Sunmaimu about the dead climate in that town on October 1, the day British Southern Cameroons gained independence by joining the then French Cameroon. And in the northwest region, it is practically the same atmosphere that prevailed in Bamenda and other parts of the region. The streets were completely deserted, and the entire region was more or less a graveyard today, and people simply stayed indoors of fear of the unknown with regards to the unstable socio-political and security climate reigning there for close to 5 years. Today, in the Meme Division, the Senior Divisional Officer Antundong Chamberlain urged the population to come out and go about their businesses, assuring them that security has been put in place by the authorities. Take a listen to him.
Indoors since something like 3 weeks, observing lockdown. We should first of all recognize that they are not observing that lockdown because they are ambers. No, it's because of fear. Fear of unknown, because time to time they used to come and kill them in the various houses. Unfortunately, others are walking somewhere else. That is why it's that fear which continue to terrorize them. Me, like the father, today I'm in the office, I'm doing my work. Like my collaborators, some are working. But the same vein, my population, many of them remain in their houses. We continue to advise them, to tell them that, it is a very difficult situation. Difficult. Why? Difficult for themselves. Because to accept to suffer for 3 weeks for no mean reason. So no mean reason. Because they are free. We have tried to intensify security measures in town. It's not because they are observing lockdown that Kumba is not going to have the attack. Attacks are everywhere, not only in Cameroon, in other countries. Security is the matter of ourselves. Try to organize ourselves before receiving the support coming from the security forces.
Meme Senior Divisional Officer Antundong Chamberlain speaking there and urging the population of Kumba and the entire Meme Division to stand up against ghost town and lockdowns. And in the report coming up next for me, Armstrong Sander takes us back into the history of October 1.
After being administered by the British as a mandated territory of the League of Nations and later as a trusteeship territory of the United Nations between 1916 and 1961, Southern Cameroonians had to make a choice. On Saturday, February 11, 1961, Southern Cameroonians went to the polls to decide their independence. Faced with these ballot boxes, green and white, Southern Cameroonians were asked if they wished to achieve independence by joining the Independent Republic of Cameroon, or they wished to achieve independence by joining the Independent Federation of Nigeria. The green box represented the Federation of Nigeria, while the white box represented the Republic of Cameroon. Southern Cameroonian men and women from the then 6 divisions, notably Kumba, Mamfe, Buya, Bamenda, Nkambe and Wum, came out massively to vote. The end of the day was 97,741 voices for the green box and 233,571 voices for the white box. Southern Cameroon then became independent by federating with the Cameroon Republic. On April 24, 1961, the United Nations General Assembly approved October 1st, 1961 as the date for the termination of the trusteeship for Southern Cameroon.
And civil society and political leaders, notably those of the Cameroon People's Party, the CPP, and the Stand Up for Cameroon Civil Society platform, are condemning the marginalization, discrimination, and other ills that have characterized the union between former East and West Cameroons, and that has brought the country into the current crisis, the deadly crisis going on in the Northwest and Southwest regions for close to 5 years today. And they're calling on authorities to stand up and take the right measures to put an end to the bloodshed going on there. Immaculate Fogle reports.
60 years after the former East and West Cameroon come together, political observers decry marginalization, discrimination and domination suffered by sons and daughters of the latter. They attribute the close to 5-year deadly armed conflict to these ills, which they say have marred the union for decades.
I cannot decide on the date of the dialogue. I decide on what we will discuss and what we will not discuss. I decide who will mediate the dialogue. I decide which subjects are off the table and on the table. Then I say I'm having a dialogue. We must stop accepting nonsense in Cameroon. It is the accepting of nonsense which has brought us here.
During a press conference on the sidelines of October 1st Independence Day commemoration, members of the Cameroon People's Party diagnosed the problem and proposed solutions.
Release all non-violent political prisoners. We need dialogue. And very often we hear, but who do we dialogue with now? At this stage, we don't know who to dialogue with. The dialogue now, every day that the government waits, the dialogue process becomes more complex. We must go down to the 13 divisions that constitute Northwest and Southwest region.
The members of the CPP party say they are willing to assist the government in solving the crisis, and that must be now.
While others think that instead of celebrating May 20 as National Day, 1st October should rather be the day that is celebrated by all Cameroonians, considering the fact that it is the day that brought the two parts together into a federal union, which was later abolished. But other persons, notably those close to the ruling CPD and political party, close to the government, think that there is no confusion between those two dates, and there is the two dates have their places and shouldn't be brought into a kind of confusion. One of those people is Professor Elvis Ngole, political scientist and member of the CPD and political party Central Committee. Take a listen to him.
As a Cameroonian from the southwest region in particular, I feel happy and satisfied and privileged that the history of Cameroon, the Cameroon of which the northwest and southwest are in full part, makes of 1st of October a significant historical date, which history cannot forget, and it is in the history books. But at the same time, I'm quite satisfied and happy and proud that as a Cameroonian, coming from one of the two English-speaking regions, we have all come to recognize, respect the fact that by virtue of law,
Professor Elvis Golengole speaking there. And now on to one of our lead stories. The mortal remains of renowned Cameroonian artist was removed today from the Douala Military Hospital. Coty Francois will be laid to rest tomorrow. Details with Immaculate, or rather Malak Glory. Malak Glory with details of the corpse removal of Coty Francois, one of Cameroon's renowned musicians, and he will be laid to rest tomorrow in his native village in the Douala 4 subdivision. And of course, his mortal remains removed today from the Douala Military Hospital, as Malak Glory reports.
In this casket lies the body of the famous Cameroonian artist Coty Francois. His relatives, fans, friends and well-wishers burst into tears as the casket comes out of the Douala Military Hospital mortuary. These mourners and Cameroonians together say he was a great man. During the recent Douala festival, he was actively present, and his cultural performance brought a lot of happiness in the heart of the population of Douala. Coty Francois was a great artist, good at bringing people together, and a generous man. He was a friend, a brother. What I know is that a great man is gone, a peace builder.
I don't want to cry here.
Talking about his legacy, they highlighted the creation of Formarik, a music festival through which many artists were brought to the limelight. Coty Francois died at the age of 70, 4th of August, at the Douala General Hospital after a brief illness. His remains will be lowered to its last resting place this Saturday in his native village, Suza Bonaberi, in the Douala 4 subdivision. His legacy lives on through his family, friends and the music body.
Several lawyers converged on the Bonanjo Court of First Instance today in Douala to pay their last respect to a fallen colleague, Jean-Paul Ngale Miano, a lawyer in the Cameroon Bar Association and one of the lawyers who fought for the well-being of Cameroonians. He fought for the rights of Cameroonians, fought for the rights of journalists, press freedom, and freedom of speech in the Republic of Cameroon. He's one of those who defended several journalists, including the managing director, the CEO of Equinoxe Radio and Television, Severin Chunka, and others like Pius Njawe, who was the founding publisher of Le Messager newspaper, and many other journalists. And several lawyers converged on Bonanjo today to pay their last respect to the fallen legal man. He died on the 16th of September at the Lakentini Hospital of Douala from COVID-19. And that's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Thank you for staying with us. We are receiving Kabanwala Edith, National President of the CPP, the Cameroon People's Party, and member of Stand Up for Cameroon Civil Society Platform. Madam the President, you're welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here as usual.
What's your take?
Happy October 1st.
Right. What's your take about this day, this day, October 1, which seems to be raising a lot of concerns across the board?
The day should be raising concerns. The day should be raising concerns because we should ask ourselves as a nation why we do not celebrate the one day where Cameroonians actually decided their future for themselves. You know, the country of Cameroon is an act of colonization. The independence, whether from East Cameroon or Southern Cameroon, those were acts that were decided by somebody else. But the act of coming together to create Cameroon as we know it today on the 1st of October, that was a choice by Cameroonians. And so this day marks a very, very important day in our history. We must celebrate it. And today, where in that very act of union, we have death, we have destruction, we have communities which are completely destroyed. Normally, as a nation, we should be stopping today to ask ourselves what went wrong and how do we fix it.
And instead of celebration, we have communities in the two English-speaking regions transformed into graveyards, so to speak. Absolutely. The streets completely deserted, people indoors because of the fear of the unknown.
Absolutely. Never in the history of Cameroon is 60 years old today. Cameroon as we know it is 60 years old today. Never in our history have citizens of this country been under attack the way they have been in the last 5 years. In the northwest and southwest regions, nobody can sleep. Nobody can go about their business. Children are not going to school. Life has become a life of terror and of fear in the last 5 years. All because our government, when faced with people who came and said, we are not happy with the way the union is going, we are dissatisfied with the way the union is going, instead of dialoguing, listening to those people and coming up with solutions, government decided on violence. In response to that, we have a part of the population, armed groups, who also then decided to take up arms. Today, the population is in disarray with regard to both of those groups. In the northwest and southwest, the civilians, they are not safe with the army, they are not safe with the armed groups.
Your eyes and your ears have been on the ground, closely monitoring happenings in those two regions.
Yes.
Buea and Limbe in the southwest region have been relatively calm and a little more busy than the other parts of the two regions. But today, we saw in the report sent to us by Derek Jato and Davidson Maimo in Buea and Limbe respectively, the streets were deserted, dead. What do we read within the lines of this?
I think that we should not talk of Buea and Limbe being relatively calm, because it then means that we relegate the rest of the regions, that it's okay for them to have violence all the time. If Buea and Limbe have been relatively calm, it is because of the security setup that has been put in place in those two towns. And today, because of the ghost towns that were declared, they too felt under threat. The point is that no Cameroonian should feel unsafe in Cameroon. It's not a matter of one day, it is not a matter of one town, it is not a matter of one citizen. No Cameroonian anywhere on this national territory should feel unsafe. The people of Northwest and Southwest have been unsafe for 5 years. They have been hiding under their beds. They have been suffering ghost town. They have been suffering violence, rape, and all kidnappings and so on for 5 years today.
And we'll continue asking this question until the day that we have peace and normalcy in those two regions. The way out. What should be done now? We have been talking about this, but the solution seems not to be coming.
The way out for government right now, number one, release the non-violent prisoners who are have been arrested illegally and arbitrarily because of this crisis. There are hundreds of them in jail. Number 2, begin dialogue from the bottom up. Go to the regions, go to the divisions, set up a group of credible mediators. Government has to sit down with us, the opposition, sit down with the civil society, sit down with other actors. Let's come up with a credible group of mediators. Those people can come from lawyers, they can come from humanitarian organizations, they can come from religious organizations. We set up a credible group that can talk to all of the stakeholders in a community. The armed groups are now at the grassroots level. That is where we must go to begin the dialogue and to begin rebuilding and to have a path for transitional justice and for peace.
Kabanwala, aged national president of the Cameroon People's Party and member of Stand Up for Cameroon Civil Society Platform, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and let's work for peace.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, coming up live from Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé. La Presse, the dispute, and after that, Equinoxe. Stay with us.